Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday podcast of ProLine with Jim Feist. I'm Dave Koken. And let's get right into it because we've got plenty to talk about in these next few minutes. We'll begin with tonight's Chiefs-Raiders matchup. And not the easiest of scheduling spots for Kansas City. And an Oakland team that's kind of desperate for a win, Jim.
Desperate, however, I wonder if they're capable. When you talk about Del Rio against Reed, which it starts at the top, Andy Reid has had tremendous success for a long time. And Del Rio is coming off of last year where they really benefited from a lot of very close victories. I'm talking about Oakland. And a lot of turnovers in their favor. Those things aren't working for them this year. And they have some issues that were there last year but didn't crop up. They didn't come out. And now they are. Now, and Kansas City has a pretty good run against this team, and they're coming off a rather embarrassing national TV loss last week. And to me, it looks like Kansas City has more weapons, and I believe they're better coached.
One thing I wonder about on the Oakland side, and I don't really know how to factor this in, which means, nobody's forced to bet on games. So I think that might be a situation that applies to me here. I don't know if Derek Carr is really healthy or if he's playing injured. He did not look good last week, and I know he wants to be out there helping his team. And maybe the second game back off the injury, he'll do better. But he didn't look like Derek Carr last weekend. I didn't think so.
No, he didn't. But, a lot of these guys are forced back into play. Some of them just want to come back a little too early, but I see it all over the league. They pay these guys a lot of money, and their backups aren't that good, generally. And the team wants them out there because they do have a big investment in them, and they look at the short term rather than the long term. And, let's talk about the quarterback on the other side. Alex Smith has been around a while, and he's been with a couple different teams. And the one thing about the guy, he hasn't been dynamic his whole career, but his percentage of completions, his lack of turnovers, controlling the game, et cetera, has been magnificent. Maybe over the last 15 years or 12 years, however long he's been in the league, he's probably the best at that. What he hasn't done is stretch the field like he did back in college, which made him #1 draft choice. But recently, this year, when their offensive tools are on the field, he has been stretching the field. Now, granted, they did draft a very big-armed quarterback to back him up, so that may be forcing him to come out of the box a little bit, the comfort level to come out of the box and play a little bit more big ball football. And but bottom line is they have shown more spunk this year, and a lot of people thought going into last week that they were the best team in football. I don't know if there is a best. I don't know if though. But Dave, I don't know if there is a best team in football because they're all.
They had played better. The 5-0 was not a fluke. They had played better than anybody else in those 5 games. All the numbers back that up. Now, whether that's going to be maintained or not, that's another story entirely. I agree. I don't know that there is a best team in the NFL right now, and that's one of the things that makes it great to watch. And not bad for betting either, because you garner value out of teams that get under or overrated in a short time span.
Well, I agree with you, and I think coming into this season, one of the biggest overrated teams, or the most overrated teams, was the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people were talking about this team to go to the Super Bowl, et cetera. They come off bigly. I didn't think they were that good. I didn't think that they were going to lose this many games in a row, but, things happen. But, I thought they were overrated coming in, and I still think, for the most part, they're still overrated.
I can't disagree. And I had the Raiders and Giants as overrated, so, not like that automatically made me money, but I kind of got those two right. Now, we've also got college football, a doubleheader tonight. Houston and Memphis hook up. This is a big game. for these two teams because they're in the weaker division, Conference USA. So either of these teams could still win that division and get to the CUSA championship game. Little revenge here for Houston. They lost last year. And Jim, pretty good stat on Houston in revenge games.
Yeah, I've seen that. The Cougars are 18-5, 17-5 in revenge, going back 10 years. I mean, that is a remarkable stat.
It is. The one downer, though, and this is why I take these trends with a grain of salt, that wasn't under this coach. And to me, when you get a coaching change, a lot of those old trends have to go out the window, don't you think?
I'm not a trend guy. In that particular instance, I was just reading some stuff that I had in front of me. I'm not a trend guy, generally, unless I can find something that substantiates that trend. Like, for example, you get a coach that traditionally is really good preparing his team, say off a bye week or as an underdog when he's not supposed to win. Yep. Those things have to be consistent. When you start changing quarterbacks, or you change the entire offensive line through graduation or something like that, or you change your head coach or your offensive coordinator, all those things make a difference to a team. A lot of difference. I mean, we could go to the Atlanta Falcons in the pros and talk about the difference between offensive coordinator last year versus offensive coordinator this year. It's remarkable. So you can't keep going to those old stats when the fundamentals underlying it change.
Now, he mentioned the revenge on Houston. And again, that's just a trend. I think it's more meaningful in the other game tonight, which is UL Lafayette and Arkansas State. And this is pretty amazing. This team, they've won 18 of their last 19 Sun Belt games. That's a great run.
That's unbelievable.
The only loss was to this Louisiana Lafayette team last year. But if you look at the stats in that game, it's amazing that they lost. They won the yards 520 to 295. They completely dominated the game and somehow didn't win it. Now, the downer here is I think that's in the number to some extent because I power rated this game at about 10. And had the number come about 10, I think I'd have played it because I do like the situation for Arkansas State. But the odds makers know this stuff too. And I'm sure that, there's no question in my mind, they added a couple of points because of that revenge stat and the fact that, it was just a complete fluke of a loss last year. So now you're looking at 12.5 or 13, and you have to be cognizant of where the line's supposed to be on power rating and where it's adjusted to. Now, there's two ways to look at it. One is that the odds makers are trying to price you off Arkansas State. The other is that they're indicating that they like Arkansas State as well, so they've pushed the number up to the point where you're going to have to pay a premium to bet them.
Well, the game opened 12, and it is up to, it's actually 12.5 leaning to 13, and there are a couple 13s. So the marketplace has actually made some adjustment off the opening number being higher than your power rating, Dave. So yeah, and also the total has gone from 64 to 66, which actually supports the favorite a little bit more because the higher number of points that are, let's say projections are reality, for example. So if there's going to be more points scored in the game, it does give the opportunity to cover a little bit better of a chance. So in that case, both moves are saying more points than they opened it and a bigger spread than they opened it. So that's where the money has gone so far.
And we go to the NBA because we've got an interesting matchup tonight as the Clippers and the Lakers each make their debut. And it is the first game for Lonzo Ball. There's a tremendous amount of excitement about him. But I wonder if that changes anything in the Lakers because we know some things that were problems for this team last year. And, of course, on the other side, we've got the Clippers learning to live without Chris Paul. But the Lakers, they don't play much defense. They didn't last year. I don't know, Jim. I don't see anything on the roster to indicate that that's going to change much this year.
Well, I'm when it comes to the NBA, I'm a spot player during the season, and then I get very heavily into it in the playoffs, much the same as I do in baseball, because there's so many games involved. I look at this game and I say, okay, the game opened 3.5, and the marketplace has kicked it up to 5, and the Clippers favored, by the way. Clippers favored 3.5, 5.5 now, or 6. Now, there's really no home field advantage here. I mean, or home court advantage. It's all neutral, and that's a big move. A 2 to 2.5 point move overnight on a basketball game. Of course, now this is the first week of the season, first couple of days of the season, and I'm 3-0 in the NBA so far. I'm spot playing, and I have a play on this, but there's no big plays at this time of the year for me.
But there are some big plays coming up this weekend that we definitely want to talk about. I think I'm probably all set with college football, and I put out my early play, and that's still available. I've also put up a triple header, a trifecta for Saturday, and I'll mention this. I've only had one losing trifecta the entire season. I do one of these each week, and we're 7 weeks in, and I've only had one weekend where I went 1-2 with the college trifecta. The others have all been 2-1 or 3-0. So if you're into track record, the indications are that I'm going to do well with this one. That college football trifecta is available right now at chipfights.com. Now, you can get the games individually, but the best way to get it is to get all three together, and it's only $50. You've got a whole bunch of stuff up this weekend, including an NFL metrics triple header.
It sounds pretty dynamic, doesn't it, when you start putting that word in there? But the NFL has been... I have a lot of plays in the NFL this week. It's a very unusual day for me to have this many plays, but there's a lot of standout stuff. And I think what happened last week with the underdogs covering so much, and that trend of not having one dynamic, powerful team in the NFL, and it's kind of like they're all B teams or less, and every once in a while a B team will pop up and play like an A team, but it's not consistent. And I think it really helps the marketplace, like for guys like me, because the bookmakers, the odds makers, don't know what to do with the team week to week, and we dig into it pretty deeply. Now, one of the advantages we have as a player, we can pass a game. If we don't like a side, we can pass the side. If we don't like a total, we can pass the total. Then we can go back into the game and say, is there anything about this game that I feel I have an advantage at? Now, I can look at a game and I can say, I don't really know what to do with this total or side, but I do like one team to score a lot. I just don't know what their defense will do on the other side of the ball, so I really can't make an overall bet, but I can bet this one team over and under. So you can do the same thing in baseball. There's lots of advantages today in the modern age of betting to take advantage of what's going on. That's what I do each week. I just look to make a profit. I don't really care if I'm 90%, 60%, 50%. As long as I make a profit. It's all about making money. And if you want to just have a bet on a game just because you want to watch it, that's fine too. But it's about making money. NFL Metrics triple header. It's all available at jimfice.com. And both of our plays, Dave's and mine, are also available at vegasportsmasters.com.
Yeah, we also, we want to give you some kind of an opinion every day. When you tune in, it's a good reason to make sure and check in every day with the podcast. I think we're kind of in agreement on this. We're not going to make it official because I don't think it's on either one of our cards. But on the matchup between UL Lafayette and Arkansas State, the indicators to me are that Arkansas State's the right side in this game. And I do like the revenge situation here. I think revenge is overrated as a whole, but I like it in this spot, particularly in view of the way Arkansas State killed this team last year and somehow managed to lose the game. And they're just dominant in this conference, 18-1. Even with the number as high as it is, I'd side with Arkansas State in this one.
I can't blame you for that, Dave. And the big problem is the number. We bet numbers. I mean, there are situations, like for example, let's look at baseball as an example. You can look at a team and say, well, man, that price is 220, and the value's on the other side, the value's on the dog. But do you really feel like the dog is going to win the game? But if you have a whole card of games betting value over that period of time with a lot of options, or over a long period of time, value will make you money. But if it's an isolated case and you're not going to really find enough value positions, that becomes problematic. You really have to pick your spots. It's not a game that I bet. It probably won't bet it.
There you go. All right. So, all right, that's going to do it for this edition of Jim Fife, Dave Koch, and Proline podcast. We'll do it again on Friday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow.